I can feel you pulling things around in there.
It's a brand new organ. Never before seen. We've all felt that the body was empty. Empty of meaning. And we've wanted to confirm that, so that we could fill it with meaning.
The world is a much more dangerous place now that pain has all but disappeared.
Surgery is sex, isn't it?
Is it?
You know it is. Surgery is the new sex.
I don't like what's happening with the body. In particular, what's happening with my body. Which is why I keep cutting it up. What do you think they'd find inside it?
Outer space.
Whoops. Sorry.
Let us not be afraid to map the chaos inside. Let us create a map that will guide us into the heart of darkness.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Greg Srisvasti with Deepest Dream. Yeah, I'm a huge David Cronenberg fan. That said, I still haven't seen The Fly, and I'm trying to think. I haven't fully watched M. Butterfly, and the next thing I want to see is a movie called The Brood. There's still a bunch of Cronenberg films I haven't seen. That said, I mean, The Dead Zone, Videodrome, there's so many, A Dangerous Method, which I think is really underrated. There are so many Cronenberg films that I love. I was going to say American History X, A History of Violence. Love that film. So would love to hear what you guys think as far as Cronenberg's body of work. What are some of your favorite Cronenberg films? Maybe Dead Ringers. Do you love that? All that said, the movie is Crimes of the Future. Is this movie peak David Cronenberg? Is it middling Cronenberg? Or is it a movie that you should forget altogether? And the answer, at least for me, is this is peak David Cronenberg. I love everything about this movie. There will be certain complaints regarding this film, and I'm going to get into it in a second. Now, the premise of the movie has Viggo Mortensen playing this guy named Saul Tenzer. Most of the movie, he's wearing a hooded black cloak-ish thing, and he looks like some sort of, I don't know, mysterious monk or something. But Saul Tenzer, what he has this really, with humans evolving, humans are evolving in a new state with this sort of synthetic environment that's merging with the human body. This is a bit of a body horror film. And Saul Tenzer, his thing is he can grow organs, different organs that are not normal or that are not actually seen in the average human body. What happens is Saul Tenzer, he teams up with a performance artist named Caprice, and Caprice is a former surgeon. And what they do is they're a performing act, and her thing is every act she takes out a new organ from Saul Tenzer's body. So that's the premise of Crimes of the Future. Now, everyone is obviously they're a very hot act because of, as Kristen Stewart says in the trailer, Kristen Stewart plays this employee for the National Organ Registry. I believe she's a surgeon. She plays a young woman named Timlin, and Timlin is really obsessed with this whole performance act. She's obsessed with organs. She works for the registry, of course, and she utters the ultimate line that everyone's going to use in Crimes of the Future. She utters the line, "Surgery is the new sex." So that is a premise for Crimes of the Future, because as the human body is it evolving to the point where, let's say, the government is appreciative of this new technology, these new organs that are growing inside Saul Tenzer's body? You'll see there's Saul Tenzer begins the movie, and by the way, I'm not going to spoil anything about this review at all. Saul Tenzer actually believes that what he's doing with Caprice, again, played by Lea Seydoux, they're just doing an act which, you know, it's an art form. It's an expression of their art. But art, as we know, it ultimately becomes political, especially when bureaucrats become involved or different interests become involved in the whole creation of this art. So ultimately, thematically, Crimes of the Future is a very dense film, and it actually subverted my own expectations, because the movie starts with a young boy. He's out somewhere on the shore. There's a little bit of a or rundown beach area, and there's rocks, and if I recall, there's some kind of ship or some kind of craft off into the distance, and he's eating something, which I'm wondering what it was. He's just picking something off the ground and he's eating it. And then his mother calls out for him from the distance, and they live in some kind of a ramshackle property right outside these waters. And you're thinking, because of the whole first several minutes, it's a very visually expansive sequence. I was thinking Crimes of the Future would be a very broad, visually scoped film, but a lot of the movie is really played in an insular fashion, whether it's Saul Tenser's domicile with Caprice, or the space where they perform the art, and they also go to a couple of offices. The exterior locations, there are some interesting meetups, but ultimately, it's a very claustrophobic film as intended. So, as going back to the complaints, is some people might say, oh, it's not as visually expressive as a lot of Cronenberg's work. Number two, it's not as action-driven as, let's say, what is that movie? Eastern Promises or History of Violence. If you're looking for some visceral, hard-boiled action from some of Cronenberg's, even something like The Dead Zone, you're not going to get too much of it here in Crimes of the Future. What you will get, though, are excellent performances and a really well-written narrative by Cronenberg. A lot of it is, you're thinking this is the upteenth collaboration between Viggo Mortensen and David Cronenberg. They previously worked together on, I'm thinking, A Dangerous Method and Eastern Promises, History of Violence, and now Crimes of the Future. Viggo is his pretty much bread and butter actor. But in my opinion, the big star, the person with the most well-developed role in this film is Lea Seydoux, because you actually get to chart the journey of Caprice as she's evolving as an artist and as a person. And what's great about Cronenberg's work is, on a surface level, everyone says it's body horror. You can expect from a Cronenberg film, you're going to find some interesting visceral sequences that might be gross to a lot of viewers. A lot of cinephiles might be disgusted, even something as far back as Videodrome, where, what is that word? Long live the new flesh, I believe James Wood says. Long live the new flesh, right? So if you watch something like Videodrome or Crash, some people might be disgusted by the actual goings on or the actual graphic nature of said Cronenberg films. I'm thinking, I still haven't seen The Fly, but I'm assuming that it might have some gross out scenes as well. There are some scenes that will turn off viewers in Crimes of the Future. If you don't want to see a stomach be opened up and kissed, or hands being placed in someone's mouth, or a seat that looks like a corpse or a corpse with some flesh in it. There's a weird seat that Viggo uses, aka Saul Tenser uses to brush his teeth and to feed him. And some people might be put off by that. I loved every single second of that. I was able to stomach the whole film. It was fine. I'm a Cronenberg fan. So that there are some barriers to entry regarding Crimes of the Future. Also, if you are a Kristen Stewart fan, she's really good in this movie, but she has mainly a supporting role. I wanted to see more of Tinsler in the film. She has some really funny moments. Again, she utters that memorable line, "Surgery is the new sex." And it's a very different role for Kristen Stewart, and she nails it. It's a very scenery chewing role, meaning, and I say that in the good way. It's a role that really stands out regarding her own. And, honestly, if they actually explored more of her character, this would have been a bigger, longer film. I don't know if a lot of people would have wanted that. One of my quote unquote complaints is, and this is sort of a nice compliment, a lot of the incidental characters are so interesting. I wanted Cronenberg to actually take a left turn and explore all of these incidental characters. But then, that said, Crimes of the Future wouldn't be a tight little narrative. It would rather be more scoped out as a maybe 3-part miniseries on something like HBO Max or Netflix or something like that. So I'm talking about an entirely different project. And sometimes when you have supporting characters and you want to see more of them, that's just a credit to the writer and the director and the performers, right? So yes, Kristen Stewart is excellent in this movie. I wanted more of her, but again, within the fabric of this narrative and what I was trying to say regarding technology and the evolution of the human body and more importantly, the consciousness, well, maybe Cronenberg couldn't fit in her narrative as much. And there's even a couple of young women who play a vital role in the narrative, and they just float in and out of the story. Okay. And Scott Speedman's character, I'm not going to give away too much. He's a person who's really interested as well into Saul Tenser's evolution as a human being and the fact that he can grow some organs. And Scott Speedman's character, he has a very intricate connection to the boy in the beginning of the movie that I mentioned. And I don't want to really get into that whole subplot of Crimes of the Future because that is pretty much the heart and soul of the movie. one of the cool things about Cronenberg's movies, at least the ones that I really love, when I watch it for the first time, I have a certain reaction and a gut reaction. And then maybe a week or two later, I continue to think about his work. And that's the great thing about Crimes of the Future. I saw it about a week ago, and it's a film that is still on my mind. Okay. So I love pretty much everything about the movie, even though it doesn't have a big visual palette like a lot of his other films. I think that I really like the boxed in narrative and the closed out, I guess, visual compositions behind Crimes of the Future. And the movie has a ton of things to say. A lot of it goes over my little feeble brain, and I'm sure you, dear viewer, dear cinephile, will have a lot more things to get out of it and have really great analysis regarding what Crimes of the Future is really all about. Would love to hear what you think of Crimes of the Future in the comments below. What are some of your Cronenberg favorites? Again, like I said, I still have to see The Fly and The Brood. Would love to hear some Cronenberg recommendations from you guys. And yeah, I think A Dangerous Method, it's an awesome film. Am I wrong? Would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Again, so Crimes of the Future for me gets 5 stars. Again, not exactly, it's more of a thinking, cerebral Cronenberg. There are some Cronenberg gross out moments. You're gonna, if you want to see a Cronenberg film for that, for the visceral aspect of it, there are some moments which stand out. But does it have an explosive bang bang finale like some of his other films? No, it doesn't. But it actually goes in a different direction, which I really like. Again, Crimes of the Future, a very cerebral journey from David Cronenberg, and I'm sure a lot of you will love it. We'll love to, again, for the upteen time, we'll love to hear what you guys think. Thanks again for listening to this review. And yeah, check out my 2 podcasts that I co-host with my buddies Anderson Cowan, Bruce Perky, and Eric Holmes. 2 podcasts, Cinematics and Find Your Film. Check them out, show notes below, and take care, guys. Bye.